Welcome, everybody, to the One True Divine Feminine and Psychic Investigations Tarot. Hope you're having a great holiday season. Appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I love bringing you these messages. I think they're very timely, especially this holiday season. And I am going to start off with just one word. I know that there's an ex-cancer cop who's roaming my neighborhood, and I know you got it in for me, brother, but there's people that got it in for you. And I know where your sun falls into my astrology chart, which is you're interested in other people's money, most especially mine, so you're probably paid a great deal. And I'm also concerned because people who fall into that house could also, try to do something really bad to a person. So I got your number, bro. And so does everybody else. So I'd be careful if I were you in the hood. Now, regarding other neighbors, good, decent, loving, kind people who uphold their moral code. If you see anybody roaming around my house, please be aware there are people who are trying to hurt me. Please call it into the FBI. Write it on an IC3 form or call it in on their tip line. Also, now is the time for those of you who were involved in this here locally to start filling out IC3 forms online before all of this goes down. So just saying. All right. With that all said, yes, I am the woman who solved my own crime using astrology, and I see other things that are afoot coming in the universe too, right? And I'm going to do a short reading today. I won't be on for a few days because the library is closing down, and I'm working on a big eclipse series. For me, it's those really potent events that tend to usher in a lot of big things and change that really capture my attention. I mean, we get the daily things that happen, but the eclipses bring in events that can rock your world for 6 months, a year, even several years, depending on how transformative they are. So I've been working on an eclipse energy reading for April, and I like to let people know in advance because that gives you time to think about the energies that are afoot. This is the purpose of astrology, to see what's possible and to harness the energies for the best outcome in the universe, right? All right, now, today we're going to work on that Neptunian energy, right? The planet that on a high vibe helps us to connect to our creativity and to the divine. And we're going to work on it as it relates to the fifth house, which has everything to do with children and creativity and romance and the things that we do for fun. Now, what always flavors all of this is the sign that's on the cusp of that house, right? I happen to have Aries on that sign. So sometimes you have to kind of combine things. For one, I do like to go into dreamy places in the woods to write poetry and to write. So that's one way it impacts me. But with this fifth house energy and creativity, that also blends with this Aries. So I also like to get my blood charged up. And so the things that I like to do to have fun are outside. So I love to canoe, which is very Neptunian because it's all about water. When I was younger, I rock climbed. I love to backpack, and I've done many trips in the wilderness on 10-day outings by myself, and I have enjoyed the heck out of that. So again, the symbol or the sign on the cusp will tell you what sorts of things that you truly enjoy. And often it comes out in various different ways. Now, certainly, because the fifth house has much to do with romance, not marriage, but, romance, people you're dating, seeing, trying out for possible marriageship. When you have Neptune involved here, there's going to be a strong desire to merge emotionally and spiritually with a partner. Tantric sex could also be a part of this configuration as well. And you're going to seek out dreamy partners. You're going to be idealizing and looking for that perfect lover. And passion and seductiveness and lusty emotions could certainly play a role as well. Now, once again, it comes down to what sign is on the cusp. So, for example, if a person has Gemini on the cusp of the fifth house and this romantic Neptune floating around in there, well, then one of the things you might actually enjoy is a lot of pillow talk or perhaps phone sex. And I know this symbology is true because when you're learning astrology, you work with people and you try out their symbols and say, okay, this is what I think this means. Is this what happens in your life? And I had a friend who had Gemini on her fifth house cusp. And yes, she was very much into phone sex and hotty toddy naughty words. And so you could see like the electrical energy of that flowing through the phone lines. And so it was very much a part of her romantic repertoire. But the sign is going to change the action completely. So when you just look at the planet in the house, you only get a small glimpse. You have to look at the sign, and then also you have to look at what other planets are talking to that Neptunian energy, because that will change things dramatically as well. Now, another thing that is certainly ruled by the fifth house are children, and you can see there's kids down here. So you might spend a lot of time daydreaming about kids or caring for kids. There can also be a fascination with the birth process itself. And for some, they will be very inclined to birth children in an old-fashioned way with this placement because Neptune rules water. And in the old days, women used to get into warm tubs of water to birth their children. That's very, very Neptunian, right? Now, for others, because filming has a lot to do with Neptune, you might also film the birth process or certainly want to take pictures of your kids all throughout the various stages of their life. Certainly giving unconditional love to kids is definitely called for and is part of your soul level contract. Now, this could entail actually caring for ill children. They could have some sort of disease or be in a wheelchair, this sort of thing with this placement. Doesn't always happen, but it does happen sometimes. So, but if that happens, that means that part of your contract is to give with an open heart and love and take care of that child. You might also daydream literally about having the perfect family with this placement. Now, the fifth house, which is normally ruled by Leo, also has everything to do with creativity. So this is where our creative energy stems from, and it can entail all kinds of endeavors. Now, I'll give you an example. Mel Gibson and Dakota Fanning, both famous actors, have Neptune in the fifth house. Child actors in particular are certainly highlighted with Neptune in the fifth. As are those people who would create fantastical films for kids like Walt Disney. Now, the film industry is not the only creative industry that could flourish here. There's all kinds, actually. If you love to sing or dance, right, that joyous energy here, that certainly could be a part of this, like dance church, where you get to connect with God through motion. That would be perfect. Or Mick Jagger has Neptune in the fifth house. And anybody, again, with Leo on the cusp of this house will fall into various creative endeavors, whether it's painting or writing or singing or whatever. This energy can also create idealists. So we have people like Angelina Jolie and Martin Luther King, who both had Neptune in the fifth. Angelina enacted her idealism by adopting children from all over the world. There's that Neptunian fifth house children connection. Martin Luther King dreamt of a better world. And of course, dreaming is so very Neptunian. It's like he could see this beautiful vision of what could be. And he took that dream and he worked very hard as an activist to bring those dreams into reality to create a better society, a more beautiful, vibrant place to live. Now, The key things that you should remember with Neptune in the fifth is make your creative mark in the world. Develop your heart center and have fun. This is the high vibe energy of Neptune in the fifth. And of course, we're going to talk about the downfall of all these when we get around to what happens when Neptune's not working as well. So, anyhow, hope everybody's having a great holiday season. Please don't send any Christmas baskets. I have to throw them out. Again, we've been poisoned 3 times, right? So, any baskets that show up on my deck, I'm going to throw away. So don't waste your time or money. I won't even bring them into the house. I've already warned the local police if somebody calls in a disturbance not to bother me. And Cancer Cop, I got your number, brother. And quit sweating me. You're working for bad people. Do you understand this? You're an ex-cop. What are you doing, brother? What are you doing? Pull your you-know-what together. All right. And neighbors, if I have any decent neighbors and you know what's gone down and you know the filth I've been drugged through and you know I'm a good person, now is the time to send an IC3 form to the FBI about what you know, right? Because I do think that what happened to me is eventually going to come home to roost right here. And it's not going to be pretty for this town, but it wasn't pretty for me either. Now, was it? All right, that being said, my heart is filled with love and gratitude for everyone who's been helping more than you can know. Just like enormous love and thanks to real detectives, real cops, the tarot card readers, the spiritual advisors, the people that are passing the information along, the FBI. I mean, the people who've been doing everything in their power to save my life. And again, saving me is like saving my country. So when I get into, because my charts, there's a lot of similarities. And so when we get into the eclipse thing that's coming up, we're going to talk about that a lot because I think some of us realize we're trying to birth a new nation, but we're not necessarily doing it consciously or with everybody on board. So we need to get to the point where we're trying to create change that works for all of society, despite our differences, right, and our uniqueness. And the energy is going to begin shifting so that we start to think about those things more. And I think part of my role is to help be a catalyst for us to think about that. Since for whatever reason I got put in the middle of all this, not that I wanted to be here, right? I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, but we need to improve where we are so we're not literally trying to murder families to get what we want politically, right? So we have a structural problem that needs to be fixed so that we can all get more of what we want, all be happier, all bring in the changes in society that we want, all bring God down to earth in our own fashion. That's a critical aspect, right? Because we all have a different vision of that. And find a way to make our country decent once again, which is going to require that we clean up things like a justice system that fails over and over and over again. All right. I'm not going to stick to the negative. It's Christmas season. My heart's filled with love and gratitude for everybody who's been working, all the unseen hands. God bless you. Thank you very much and have a great day.